Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Rookie Card Collector 123 video. In today's episode, we're going to continue our look at top 10 early cards of the Baseball Hall of Famers. We've been going forward in alphabetical order on these. Today's episode is going to cover Hall of Fame shortstop great Ernie Banks from the Chicago Cubs. Ernie's one of the more popular players of the Golden Age. Playing during the same time period as Aaron and Mays and Clemente. And Banks more than held his own against those guys and won a couple of back-to-back MVP awards in the National League as well. So the first card we're going to talk about for Ernie Banks today is going to be his traditional, widely accepted rookie card, which is the 54 Topps. Pictures him in a portrait image. The 54 Topps was the oversized, as Topps had made from the beginning in 52 all the way through 56, before switching to the now standard size cards that we see today in 57. So 54 Topps Ernie Banks portrait image, and then to the side of the portrait is Ernie batting, and a popular card, white background, tough to find centered. Top to bottom is always a major challenge to find one that has any kind of border on the top, as opposed to the letters of his name actually touching the edge of the card. So you're really looking for at least a little bit of white on top there above his name. So most popular Ernie Banks rookie card, 54 Topps. The only other rookie option for Banks is not a card, and it's an oversized item also. But Ernie appeared in the 54 All-Star Photo Pack. That was a group of photos. They measure about 6x9 or so, and they cover both the National League and the American League. There's around 20 players in there. I'm not sure the exact number. But there's two rookies in there, Ernie Banks, and then eventually we're going to get to a second one later on in the alphabetical index. But Banks is in the 54 All-Star Photo Pack in a batting pose, a real nice black and white image, and the only other option for a 54 Banks rookie. The third Ernie Banks we're going to talk about is a super rare one. This one is a 1955, so this is going to be second year. It's from a set called the Robert Gould, Gould, All-Stars. Robert Gould put out a small miniature toy of baseball players, kind of like a statue. The sort of like a predecessor to the transograms that came out in 69 and 70 that were more widely distributed. But the 55 Robert Gould All-Stars, it's a small white, looks like an ivory statue almost. It's just made out of plastic. They're, like I said, small. They're about 3 inches in height. And the way the cards were sold with the statue was there was a rubber band that would attach and wrap around the card, wrap around the statue, and keep them together. And they were sold at a retail store, probably like a 5 and dime kind of place, with the card rubber banded to the statue. So as you could imagine, these cards with the rubber bands strapped around them have all kinds of condition issues. A good grade on these would be a 1. Many of them are authentic, and some of them are actually missing chunks of the card. A lot of paper loss on the card. To get above a 1 is really difficult. And just finding any card in any grade is super tough. The pop reports on these Robert Goulds are typically under 5 per player. Some players only have 1 or 2 ever having been graded. The cards themselves are a bright green background with a black and white line drawing of a ball player. They do resemble the ball player that's described. So the Ernie Banks does look like Ernie Banks, not an actual photo though. And it also has some stats on the opposite side of the card. The way the rubber bands were attached to the cards, there's 2 little notches, one on each side of the card, the side border, the left side and the right side, right in the center. the rubber band would wrap around those and sit inside those notches on the side of the card, and that's how they would be banded to the statue. So, interesting set. The cards are not the most picturesque, and again, super challenging to find any of those. But Ernie Banks' second year, Robert Gould All Star statue. Next one we're going to talk about is also a 55 Banks. This one is the Topps doubleheaders. These are a little more common to find. These where you had two ball players. One would appear as the front image on a card, and then if you turned it over, the top half of the player would switch, and it would be the same bottom half of the card, same player on the bottom, but the top would be a different player. So it was a concept that was used a couple of different times over the years. They were called Topps doubleheaders in 55. Some of the popular ones that set besides Banks would have been Hank Aaron and Ted Williams. So some big names in there, a lot of lesser names as well. And another popular oddball Ernie Banks to collect, 55 Topps doubleheader. Next one we're going to talk about is a 56. So now this will be a third year Ernie Banks issue. He was in a Topps, obviously the Topps regular base set, but Topps also produced a pin back, or some people call it a button, picturing ball players from 56, and Ernie Banks appears as a portrait image on the Topps pin back. These are not easy to find, but they're not impossible. There's some out there. Another early Banks item that falls under the oddball category, and of course not a card, as it's a pinback. Next one we're going to talk about is also another pinback, also from 56. This one is a scarcer, tougher one to find than the Topps version. This is called the Yellow Base Paths Ernie Banks pinback. This one has a black background with a headshot of Banks in black and white, and it's set on a baseball diamond where the base paths in between home, first, second, and third are in yellow on the button, on the face of the button, hence the name Yellow Base Paths. So like I said, these are tougher to find than the Topps pinbacks, both of them challenging, and another 56 early career Ernie Banks option. Next one we're going to talk about, we jumped to 1959. We skipped over a couple of years, 57, 58. There was generally just the more mainstream Topps issues during those years. Not too much in the way of other oddball stuff. So 59, we have something called an Armor coin. These were put out by Armor Hot Dogs, similar to Kahn's Hot Dogs, putting out the cards that they did during the 50s and throughout the 60s. Armor coins were plastic round coins, probably about the size of a silver dollar, maybe, something like that. They were all one color, so they would either be all blue or yellow or green. They came in a multitude of different colors, but it would be one solid color on the coin, and the image would be imprinted into the plastic coin for the player. It would have the player's name on there as well. And like I said, made out of plastic and about the size of a silver dollar, roughly. They made those Armor coins for several years, starting in 59, and it ran through the next few years into the early 60s as well. Not the most popular set for a lot of people, but there are collectors that put together the set with all the different variations, all the different colors. It gets pretty interesting when you start looking at every possible color combination with every player. So 59 Armor coins, Ernie Banks. Next one we're going to look at is 59 Ernie Banks Bazooka. So 59 was the first year that Bazooka put cards out on their bubblegum boxes. It's still also the only year that they printed just one player on the box as opposed to three, or panels of three, which they would start doing in 1960 and continue all the way through 71, which was the last year that Bazooka put out baseball player cards on the boxes. So 59 was an oversized card. It was about double or even a little larger than double the size of what these 60s and later bazooka cards would look like. Much bigger image. Takes up the entire bottom of the bazooka box of the 59s. These are super hard to find, still complete with the box, and hard to find even cut off the box as individual single cards. Banks, of course, one of the better players that was made that year. There was a Mantle, there was an Aaron, there was a Mays, and Clemente was not made in 59. He was made in 60 for the first time. So Ernie Banks, 59 bazooka. Another one, tough to find one, but these are out there. They're not impossible. Next one we're going to look at is another 59. This one is a Dad's Cookies. So this is basically identical to his 1950s exhibit cards. One of the variations of him, pictured with basically from a waist up pose. Except instead of the back of the exhibit typically being blank, the Dad's Cookies version has Dad's Cookies advertising, an extensive ad on the back there with some information about Banks and information about the company. These are super scarce. Populations on these are under 5, probably for just about everybody in the set. Most of them probably only a couple known, at least as far as a couple having been graded anyway. So really rare one, 59 Dad's Cookies, Ernie Banks. And the last one we're going to look at today is a 59 Home Run Derby, Ernie Banks. Home Run Derbies, we've mentioned a couple of previous players that we talked about in this series. The Home Run Derbies were black and white. They were almost postcard size. They've gained a lot in popularity over the last couple of years. Prices have gone up accordingly. Banks appears in the set, as well as Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and Mickey Mantle, and several other Hall of Fame greats. So black and white, the home run derbies, they're tough to find, but the populations are not super low, not compared to some of the others that we talked about. These are probably in the 20s, 30s, a couple of players, maybe a little more. But somewhere in there. Very tough issue, but they are out there. So that's going to wrap up today's episode with Ernie Banks. Hope you found some interesting items there. And a lot of Ernie Banks fans out there for sure. So maybe something new to try to add to the collection. But anyway, hope you guys liked the video. Have a great day. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.